Okay, what is up, everybody? Welcome in. I'm Alexis Jade, and this is No Straight Answers, the podcast where we talk everything sapphic and nothing is off limits, but I can't guarantee I'm going to give you any straight answers. Still a work in progress. I know a lot of you are anxiously awaiting Zelena Part 3, okay? It is coming at some point. However, the people I'm going to film it with, we all have been very busy. And I'm trying to find a good time where we can all sit down and plot everything and then also film everything. And it's taking a while. So, bear with me. Zelena Part 3 is coming. If you're still interested in it, that is. It's been a while since Grande Fratello ended now. But if that's what you're here for and you want to see Zelena Part 3, it's on its way eventually. But I'm not going to promise a specific time because it's about coordinating schedules. And, you'll have to bear with me on that one. But we do have another episode. Obviously, you're sitting here watching this or listening, however you're getting this content, to the podcast. And so we have another podcast episode today. And today is a bit different. It's not necessarily anything sapphic related, not necessarily anything love, relationship, nothing like that related. Not that that's all this podcast is about, but it's about me. And it's about the month of May. So let's get into it. If you guys are familiar with the Twitter Spaces, that used to be a frequent occurrence, then you are familiar with a classic Alexis story time. And today, ladies and gents and everything and everyone in between, is a classic Alexis story time. I have gotten some questions about, hey Alexis, what is that? And for those of you who are just listening, it's referencing this giant scar on my neck. What is that? Where did you get that from? I've gotten, is that Halloween makeup in May? No, it's not. It's a scar. And I figured to address it once and for all and have a reference point for whenever people in the future are inevitably ask, because it's right here, looks right at you when I'm not covering it. And also the fact that it is May, why not kill two birds with one stone? Sorry, I keep moving my mic and not having it in the same spot. So I'm going to do better with that. But why not kill two birds with one stone? Wow, that's really a tongue twister for me right now. Anyways, if you don't know what May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. And this scar, as you've probably guessed, is from skin cancer. So today, I will be giving you guys my little story on how I got this little scar and how I got skin cancer and what kind it was and how I figured it out and so on and so forth. So that is today's episode. So if that's your thing, stay tuned. Listen in. Hope you have a good time. Diving right on in. It was actually, I've never been on live television before. Okay, if you don't know that reference, then you don't know what the hell I was just doing just there. But that was a really good reference. Anyways, so it was around this time last year, maybe a month or two shy. Anyways, around this time last year that I, myself, was diagnosed with stage 1B melanoma on my neck. So that means almost a year cancer-free. Woo! Round of applause. I only have one hand. For those listeners, it's because I'm holding the microphone. So before I dive into my journey and what the whole 1B means and all of that jazz, I figured first I would address what are the main types of skin cancer. It's not every single type. Of course, there's some super rarities and other things like that, but the main types of skin cancer, because this is important. This differentiates it big time from the type I had to the other types that are out there. And personally, I was not well educated on much of this when I was diagnosed, so I wouldn't be surprised if many of you don't really know. So I'm going to first talk about the different types. It's not going to be a huge medical lesson, don't worry. I'm just going to briefly go over what the U.S. Center of Dermatology, I think it's called, has for the description of each cancer type, just so you kind of understand, have a base knowledge before I dive into this. So the first and most common form of skin cancer is basal cell sarcoma. That's one of those words that as I'm saying it sounds like I'm saying it wrong. Hopefully I'm not. But basal cell is the most common form of skin cancer, and probably the form of skin cancer people are referring to when someone goes, oh yeah, I had skin cancer removed. Oh yeah, I had that once. I got it removed. That's what I was told a lot of times by old people. No offense, old people. We do not have the same type of skin cancer, my friend. But either way, it sucks. But basal cell sarcoma. So what is that? I'm going to read it off the page here so I don't get anything wrong. It is the most common type of skin cancer, usually developing on sun-exposed areas like the face, neck, head, arms, blah, 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 blah. It's characterized by slow growth and rarely spreads to other body parts. That bit is important. It can grow deeper if left untreatable and invade underlying tissue if left untreated. So basically what the gist is that I want you to get from this is that it is slow growing, and when it does spread, it would spread to underlying layers of tissue beneath the skin or within the skin, and it is very, very, very slow growing. And when it does spread, it just spreads further into the tissue, which is why it is highly treatable. It very rarely spreads, and when it does, it doesn't, I guess I'm not a doctor, so doctors correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not common for it to spread pretty much anywhere else, and it can go deeper, but it can be removed from deeper. You just might require a skin graft if it goes that deep, but you have to have it a long time and not notice it for it to go that deep. So that's the gist of basal cell, okay? And that's the most common kind that people will have when people have said that they've had skin cancer before. Now, skin cancer number 2. The second most common type of skin cancer is squamous cell sarcoma. Hi, editing Alexis here. So sorry, the audio is going to decrease for a second for those who are just listening, but it was driving me nuts. I was editing this podcast episode, and I don't know why I kept saying the word carcinoma as sarconoma. My dyslexia was really playing with me. It was messing with my mind, and for some reason I was really struggling to process that word, even though I know it. So my apologies. Anyways, back to the podcast. I do know how to say that word. It's carcinoma. Thank you. Now, what type of this? What type of this? What type is this? My goodness, Alexis, today. A type of skin cancer that develops in the outermost layer of skin, epidermis. Second most common type of skin cancer. Often appears on sun-exposed areas, but can also develop in other non-exposed areas. You can guess what those are. Another one that can spread if left untreated. It can spread deeper, same as basal cell, but typically will not spread, and it can spread to other surface areas of the body, like within the epidermis, the top layer of skin, but not typically into your bloodstream. Not that kind, okay? It would spread throughout your epidermis, but not below that. That's basically the gist, okay? I'm kind of summarizing. Of course, there's extreme cases, I'm sure, but that's the gist I want you to get away from that, or take away from that. God, my English is not Englishing today. Anyways, that's the gist of that. So that leads us to skin cancer number 3, which is what I had, which is melanoma. Now, what is melanoma? Melanoma is the most dangerous type of skin cancer. It develops when pigment-producing cells in the skin begin to grow out of control. More likely to spread to other parts of the body, melanoma can appear anywhere on the body, but is more common in areas that are frequently exposed to the sun. Here's where melanoma is different from other types. Sorry, let me look at the camera. Now, here's where melanoma is different from other types of skin cancer. Melanoma has stages, and it can be broken down based on how far it has spread. Okay? And this is where we'll soon reference the stage that I was in. Melanoma is classified into 4 stages because of how much it spreads. And melanoma can spread very, 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 very quickly, which is why, besides the fact it can become malignant and spread everywhere, it also can happen like that. It can happen within a few months, a few weeks, a year, 2 years. So early detection is key, which I know you hear all the time, but trust me, it is. And Yeah, it can spread very, very quickly, and it can go everywhere. So, what do I mean by that? Let's break down the stages quickly before I talk about my specific story. Stage 0 is the first stage of melanoma. So stage 0 is melanoma in situ? I don't actually know how you say that. Basically, when it's confined to the top layer of skin and it is very small. It has not spread yet. It is melanoma, but it is just on the top layer of skin and easily removed. Okay? Stage 1, localized melanoma. Now, if you recall, I said I was in stage 1. Stage 1, localized melanoma. The cancer has grown deeper into the skin but has not spread to nearby lymph nodes or other parts of the body. It is further classified into 1A and 1B based on the thickness of the tumor. So I was 1B, meaning it was a thick girl who spread a little bit, who got a little thicker, but she had not yet spread her cancer cells to my lymph nodes, which is a good thing. But also, keep in mind, I did not know this right away. All they knew is it was not stage 0, which meant it could have been stage 1A, stage 1B, or, which we'll get to soon, I could have been at stage 4, and that would have been very not good. So, I did not know yet what stage I was in when I got it, because they had to do further testing. So just keep that in mind. But stage 1B means she's a thick girl, she's spread a few layers into the skin, but she's not in your lymph nodes yet. Stage 2, regional melanoma. The cancer is spread to nearby lymph nodes, but not to other parts of the body. It is further classified into 2A, 2B, and 2C based on the number and size of the involved lymph nodes. Basically meaning, did it just spread to the one right here under your armpit? Or has it spread to this lymph node, and this lymph node, and the lymph nodes down here, and the other lymph node on this side, and this one? For the people who are just listening, I'm pointing to different lymph nodes on my body. But, yes, so that is basically saying it has spread, and it has spread to lymph nodes, and how many lymph nodes has it spread to? Stage 3, distant melanoma. The cancer has spread to distant lymph nodes or other organs, such as the lungs, liver, or brain. Meaning it is now past your lymph nodes, or it has spread to multiple lymph nodes, and it is spreading to your organs. Meaning the cancer cells are traveling in your bloodstream all willy-nilly. Which basically leads to stage 4, metastatic melanoma. The cancer has spread to distant parts of the body, such as organs or lymph nodes that are not near the original tumor site. That is the short way of saying the cancer has spread everywhere. When they take you in for scans and they check to see if you were lit up anywhere else, and you light up like a Christmas tree. That is a terrible stage to be in. And typically the survival odds when you reach stage 4 are not very good. Now, in today's modern medicine, there is a chance, but it's a case-by-case basis, depending how far it has spread, how many organs are affected. Can they fully remove it from your system, essentially? Just basically like any other metastatic cancer. There's no guarantee that you will ever be cancer-free. You'll be in remission, but you have to go for further testing. If, assuming stage 3, stage 4, assuming you are there, you go through your rounds of chemo, radiation, and you come up cancer-free, you're really in remission and have to go back for further testing frequently to make sure the cancer hasn't come back. So it's no different in that way than any other metastatic cancer that are more common, the ones that you might know, like breast cancer, lung cancer, things like that you think, oh, that's bad. It's the same with metastatic melanoma. That being said, I was stage 1B, just to preference that. And my cat is yelling at me, so sorry if you hear that in the background. Before I get into my little story, I do want to give a PSA and just say that I am well aware that I am very lucky. This scar that I have is pretty much the worst of it that I had to endure. That I'm well aware there's other types of cancers out there, or other stages of cancer out there that are way worse. I've had family members pass away from cancer. I am well aware of how awful it can be, how awful the treatment can be, how hard it is on families. Trust me, I am aware. So, trust me when I say I'm well aware of how lucky I am. And also, this is not meant to be like a woe is me. Sorry, there is like a hair, like a fuzz or something somewhere. This is not meant to be a woe is me sob story type deal. This is just meant to be a story time and hopefully a reminder to people to go get checked, go to the doctor, because I wasn't going. And I'm very freckly, which you can't really see through the light and the cameras, but I'm very, very freckly. And I should have been going to the dermatologist a long time ago, never did. Maybe this would have been caught even sooner, but it's the month of May. It's Skin Cancer Awareness Month. I had skin cancer. I had melanoma, which is a very dangerous type of skin cancer. Very rare in someone my age, where I live, not super common. So let this be your PSA and enjoy the story time, and let it be a little PSA to be like, maybe I should just like schedule the appointment. It's not that big of a deal. The appointments are quick. The checkups are quick. Just go do it, please. And wear sunscreen, okay? I didn't wear sunscreen very often as a kid. Wear sunscreen, especially you fair-skinned people. But yes, even if you have olive skin, you still need to wear sunscreen, and some of you know who you are. So don't test me on that. Wear sunscreen. Anyways, now, going into my skin cancer. So, how did I find out that I had skin cancer? Well, folks, here comes the story time. So, like I mentioned, I'm very, very freckly. All over my body. Everywhere. Every inch of my body. And I noticed, actually I didn't notice. I have freckles like all over my chest, my neck, everywhere. And nothing about a freckle that I had on where is now my scar on my neck seemed abnormal. Seemed like another freckle. I never noticed it. Never paid it much attention at all. And I don't have moles. Let me say that too. And that's only relevant because a lot of melanomas do kind of look like moles. And I don't have any moles. I have a lot of freckles, but I don't have moles. And this melanoma did not look like a mole. It looked like a freckle. It was flat like a freckle, and it looked like a freckle, which is honestly the freakiest part for me personally. But, so yeah, it looked like any other freckle. Didn't think anything of it. Didn't really notice it. And then, just one day I was looking at pictures that I was going to post on Instagram or something like that. And I noticed that in the pictures of me, for some reason, that freckle on my neck was sticking out. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't know why this is sticking out to me. Like, it just feels like I haven't noticed that freckle before, because it just, I don't know. Like, you look at yourself in the mirror and everything else, and just for some reason, it was kind of standing out to me. I don't really have an explanation for why. And so I was like, have I always had that? And so I decided to go look at pictures of myself from a year ago. So I like scrolled all the way up in my camera roll and went to just like roughly a year ago to find pictures of myself. And I realized I didn't have this freckle a year ago. And now, of course, you can grow new freckles. Freckles can come stronger, weaker, whatever. But it was pretty large and pretty dark, and I did not have it a year ago. And that was when I was like, that's odd. And I kind of texted some friends and stuff about it, and some family, and I was like, is it weird? Have you noticed that I've had this before? And when my stepmom texted me back and said, no, call the doctor, I was like, okay, I guess it's time to call the doctor. And so I called my general doctor, not really thinking it was that big of a deal. It's like, probably being dramatic, it's probably a freckle. And I call my general doctor, and they're like, can you just send us a picture of it and we'll see like what we need to do. So I'm like, sure. I take a few pictures, send it into the doctor. And the nurse for my general doctor calls me back and is like, okay, we're sent the pictures to the doctor to look at. If you need to be referred to the dermatology clinic, then they will give you a call, but they are pretty backed up, so you probably won't get in for another 2 to 3 months. And I was like, all right, not a big deal. Still thinking, really wasn't anything. Well, then I get a call from the dermatology clinic, and they say, we'd really like to see you. Can you come in next week? And that's when I was like, okay, so one, it needed to go to dermatology. And two, they told me they were booked out like 2-3 months, and they just asked me to come in early next week. That was my first red flag of, okay, maybe this is something. And that's when I kind of started getting a little bit like, maybe I should look this up. And I started looking up the skin cancer types, and then all I knew is I did know the word melanoma, and I knew that it just like wasn't good. And I looked at pictures of basal cell, squamous cell, and I was like, it just doesn't look like these. Like, it doesn't look like this. And I looked up melanoma, and I was like, shit. And I remember telling my friend, I was like, I think it's melanoma. And she was like, no, it's not. It can't be. And she looked up the pictures, looked at the picture of my freckle, and I remember I was on the phone with her, and you know, your best friend, they tell you how it is. And I remember she just got quiet, and she was like, I really wanted to look at this and Google this and tell you that you were wrong, but I don't think you are. And that's when I was kind of like, holy hell, I might have melanoma. And of course, when you Google it, it's like, most dangerous type of skin cancer, very aggressive. And I was like, whoa, hold on, what's happening? But once again, some of the pictures, it didn't look like mine. So I was like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a weird freckle that's just irregularly shaped, and it's not that big of a deal, because I also have a ton of freckles. Freckles aren't perfectly round. They're weirdly shaped all the time. So I was still staying optimistic about it. I go into the doctor's appointment, and she looks at it, takes her fancy imaging thing that they have and scans my skin and looks at it, scans the rest of my skin, and is like, yeah, you don't have any moles. And this one does look a little different than your other freckles, but I don't, know yet if it's something we need to worry about. And she did like the zoom in scan thing that then would pop up on the computer. And it popped up on the computer, and she was like, did they tell you today to prepare to get a biopsy? And I was like, no. And she was like, okay, I wasn't sure if we'd need one, but I really think we should do a biopsy. And the mood in the room kind of shifted a bit, and I kind of got the feeling that she wasn't super optimistic anymore after she saw the scan, after she saw the close-up of it. Because these doctors know what they're looking for. There's certain things in melanoma that, are kind of like signatures that they kind of stand out to them, and it had them. And so they numb me up, do the biopsy, cut it off, and they basically tell me that they're going to send it to pathology, and they'll let me know the results. And I'm like, okay, cool. About a week or two later, I can't exactly remember how long it took them, but it was definitely agonizing. And of course, when you're waiting for results to find out if you have like a cancer or not, it's 2 days feels like 2 weeks. So I honestly couldn't tell you, but it was definitely within 1 to 2 weeks. I don't think I found out any sooner than a week. And I was waiting for the results, and I actually missed the phone call because it came past like the 5 p.m. normal office hours. And so I kind of was like, okay, like every day I was waiting for that phone call and nothing would come, and 5 o'clock hit and I was like, all right, I'm not getting anything this day. Started cooking dinner or whatever I was doing, and I look at my phone and I have a voicemail, and lo and behold, it's the doctor, and she just said, we have your pathology reports. Give me a call when you can. And that was pretty much when I knew. That was pretty much when I knew that it was not going to be good news, because if it was not, I have other medical issues. I have lupus. I've been through the series of tests. I know what it's like when the doctor has good news, when they don't have good news. I know how these types of phone calls work. For me, for other family members, I've been in them. So when I got that phone call, I instantly knew. And I called her back, and she said, that it is melanoma and that I will need to come in and there'll be some further testing to try to figure out what stage it's in. They think it's stage 1, but, without knowing for sure, they can't say. And remember, when we went over the chart, stage 1 is, it's a thicker girl, thick boy, but might not spread to lymph nodes. But stage 2, it's spread. And once you get there, it could be anyone's guess. And then from there, it honestly was a whirlwind. Like, it all happened so quick. It was like all of a sudden I got a phone call from one nurse from like the surgery center who was like, okay, what time? Or not even asking, just telling me day, time of your surgery. I'm like, okay. And with melanoma, they work super quick because it spreads so quickly. So the sooner they can get to this, the better odds you have. And so then I'm getting phone calls for the blood center to come in to get my blood work done. Then I'm getting a call from the eye doctor because they need to check my eyeballs and they need to do tests to make sure there's no cancer in my eyeballs. Didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, all of a sudden it was just a rush of phone calls and different appointments. And I honestly didn't even take that much time off work. I just told my boss about the the days and times of my appointments and was like, I guess I need off this day. I guess, I don't know, like the day after surgery, maybe I need the day off. After that, I don't really know. Like, I wish in hindsight I would have just taken like short-term disability or something because I didn't know what I was signing up for. I was fine. I still worked and everything else, but in hindsight, but it all happens so fast when you get these kind of calls. They just like, all of a sudden it's just bam, 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 which is good because they're trying to save you. But like, yeah, it's a whirlwind and it happens super quick. So basically I go in for the blood work. They're basically checking like elevated white blood cell counts and things like that, which of course mine always are because I have lupus. So I have elevated white blood cells. So that doesn't really help them that much, but they still run some tests and do some scans, things like that. Biopsy a lymph node, do things, to make sure nothing spread, whatever. And surgery day comes. And, I guess I should say, by the time surgery day comes, remember in this time, I don't really know yet what stage it's in. I'm assuming it's stage 1 because of what they said, but like we didn't know yet if it had spread to lymph nodes. I didn't have any swollen lymph nodes, so that's partially why they were like, we think it's stage 1 and we're good. But, had to undergo further testing and make sure, which was also kind of scary because like, what if all of a sudden they come back and they're like, yeah, 3 lymph nodes, cancer. That's not good. Suddenly you go from thinking, it's stage 1, and then suddenly you're in stage 3. So yeah, I was like, there was a very brief period of time where I was like on the phone with my best friend, which thank God for her. I was ranting to her all the time and was like, I've made peace with the fact that I might have to go through chemo. I'm like, I don't know yet. And I know to some this might sound dramatic, but I didn't know the stage. All I knew is it wasn't stage 0 and it was at least stage 1. And with melanoma, it spreads so quick. And as soon as it spread to one spot, like you could be in either stage 2 or stage 4. Like it's so up in the air. And so like when I didn't know officially what stage it was in yet, I was just like, okay, I've mentally accepted like that I might have to go through chemo and this might really suck. I was like trying to like just accept it as a possibility instead of like I was trying to stay optimistic about it, but I was like, there is a chance that this is not going to be good news. It already wasn't good news, but like even worse news. So there was a period of time where I was battling that, but I like came to acceptance that if that's what it is, then that's what it is. And there's literally nothing I can do about it. Luckily, it came back that it was stage 1B. So we caught it just in time before it spread to any nearby lymph nodes. And honestly, I don't know the direct impact lupus could have had on it, but like being immunocompromised already, having an autoimmune disorder, I don't know if as soon as it started to spread, like my biggest fear was my kidneys were next, if that was the case, because kidneys are a big issue with lupus. And I was like, please no. Like, please don't let it spread to organs, because I was really worried that like my kidneys would be the first to go. This is just like the train of thought that I started spiraling on. But yeah, so I got very lucky. We caught it early enough that it didn't spread to nearby lymph nodes yet, didn't spread to nearby organs yet. And I was able to go in for surgery and just remove the cancer. So, went in for surgery. They cut me open. And what started as a tiny little spot on my neck has now turned into, like, I don't know. How long is this? Longer than my finger, I think. Wow, the camera's mirroring effect is really tripping me up. It's like the size of my finger. Put it that way. It's like the length and thickness almost of my finger. Scar across my neck. Post-surgery, it was like a decent recovery process. I wasn't allowed to really turn my head at all. I couldn't lift anything. I wasn't allowed to like bend below the waist, lift anything for a few days after surgery, just because it was like right where you move your neck. So it was very inconvenient, because basically any too sharp of movements could have popped my stitches. I had internal and external stitches, and yeah, if you don't want a janky scar, the last thing you want to do is pop some stitches. So I had to be super careful. And then I think I had like a gauze pad around my neck for probably 3 weeks. It took for the stitches to finally be ready to come out externally. The internal stitches took probably, I think it was 2 months to fully like dissolve into my system, but you don't really see those. But the external stitches, I had to wait probably 3 weeks before they were ready to come out. So that entire time until the external were removed, I had to keep it covered. So I didn't get infected, which is also a big concern with lupus. So I was very, very careful with that. Unfortunately, genetics, having an autoimmune issue, they think might be tying into this. My scar formed a little irregularly. If you look at it, it's kind of hard to see on camera for listeners. You're not going to be able to see this, but it's raised. It is a thick boy. And it's sensitive. Unfortunately, I just got the short end of the stick, and my body forms scars weird. And it grew beyond the surgical site, like thickness-wise, became raised and sensitive, and there's not much they can do about it. I did, actually, like a few months ago, went and got about 6 steroid injections into the scar, which hurt like a mother effer, because it's already sensitive, it's already scar tissue, and then getting steroid injections into it, that hurt. But it did help. It was actually even bigger before that, and the steroid injections definitely helped it. But yeah, beyond that, this is the scar I'm left with. She's a thick boy. She's going to stay this way. She's not the prettiest thing to look at, but it is what it is. I'm alive. So we have that going for me. So, yeah, that's pretty much the story of how I had melanoma and how I had the surgery and all the things. I go in for routine checkups. I was going in every 3 months, and I soon am now going in every 6 months. Part of the precaution is just because I have so many freckles, and this melanoma did not, it honestly looked like every other freckle. And I'm pretty lucky that it was in a spot that's pretty noticeable on pictures and stuff, because if it would have been on my back or like the back of my neck or maybe even the back of my arm, somewhere I don't really see, I'd probably still have it and it would have spread and I would have had no idea that I had cancer. So they're kind of being cautious with just trying to, just because of how weird this one was, just study the freckles, try to take pictures and imaging of the freckles I have all over my body, and just be able, the more frequently they can track them and see if something's growing or something is changing, that maybe I don't notice, then the sooner we can catch it. Because also the thing with melanoma is once you've had it, there is a likelihood that you'll get it again. I could potentially get it again in the same spot, meaning it comes back versus it was never fully removed. That was also part of the surgery as well as they sent it to pathology. If in pathology, when I got the surgery done after, if they came back and said cancer cells are still there, I would have had to go in for a second surgery. Luckily, that wasn't the case. Yeah, so they're pretty cautious on trying to watch it, and unfortunately, that's just something I have to live with, is that there's a chance I could get it again. Now it's just being cautious, going to your doctor's appointments, getting the checkups, and paying attention to myself. And especially in the summertime, I am super pale because I haven't seen the sun in like a year, because I got cancer and was going through that stuff during the summer last year. So I haven't really seen the sun, and I plan on seeing the sun, getting some vitamin D, but I had to be cautious. And I guess any new freckles that appear that look weird, I'll have to be on the lookout for. But that's pretty much all I can do. And that is the story of how I found out I had melanoma and my little melanoma journey. If anyone has their own experience with, skin cancer, melanoma, anything that you're comfortable sharing, I do love reading the comments and interacting with people, so please do share it if that's something you're comfortable with. But if you guys like this video, if you're watching on YouTube, so that it spreads to other people, raise more awareness, share the stories so more people make those doctor's appointments. It's a very common thing you hear with melanoma, is people being like, I thought it was just a mole. I thought it was just a freckle. Didn't think anything of it. Found out it was stage 3 melanoma. Like, unfortunately, it's pretty common because it's still something people just don't pay attention to. They don't think about. So yeah, go to the doctor, have checkups, because guess what? Even if you don't have a spot on you right now you're concerned about, if you go to a dermatologist and get checkups, then if a new spot pops up, they'll catch it way sooner than you would catch it by yourself. And that could make a huge difference. Please get checked. Make your appointments. Wear sunscreen. And yeah. Not sure what the next episode is going to be. It could be Zelena Part 3. It might not be. I don't want to make any promises until I know we're able to record. But I will be posting on Twitter and such for those who want to know, and Instagram, so follow my socials if you want to know and everything and all that jazz. But maybe if I can find, I actually did vlog. Vlog sounds weird. I did record a lot of the stuff when I was going through melanoma just for my own, because like I said, I didn't know what stage it was in. So I was like, if this ends up going somewhere like further, I want to have documentation. So one day I could be like, wow, started there and look where I am now. But I never posted anything because I just didn't, and it didn't feel right. But maybe I can uncover that footage or something and post it just if people are interested. But I honestly don't know if I still have it, so we'll see. Or if people are even interested in that. But I don't even remember what I recorded, to be honest with you. I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing if you're subscribed, and please do subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, rate me 5 stars. Rate the podcast 5 stars. But thank you so much. Deeply appreciate you. As always, I hope you have a good rest of your day, week, night, whatever, wherever you're doing, whatever you're doing. I'm Alexis Jade, and this has been No Straight Answers. Thanks for watching. Bye.